All right, we're going to take a look at the EDELRID SPOC used as a progressive capture. We use it for not only mechanical advantages at the anchor, but also when ascending attached to your harness. It's an ultra lightweight, high efficiency pulley with an integrated camming unit. To operate the cam, we use the tagline up at the front. To be able to always pull it out front, to lock it back, we move it back. To be able to release it, we pull it front, keep it towards the front, which will release it onto your rope. It's good for rope sizes 7mm to 11mm, although we have tested it on certain 6mm also. When we go to rig this, the cam will always be opening to where your haul line is going to be, where your hands go to be able to haul that up. The load will be on the left. With working with night vision, things like this, it's not a bad idea to be able to mark that with glit tape to where the load is, so you never make mistakes in the dark. When we open that up, we place that rope in. As we said before, the rope to our left is going to be the load line. The rope to our right is what we build our mechanical advantage, but this is where our hands go to be able to haul that up. We can then close that, attach that into our anchor. We can build our system, remembering to be able to come in and set that cam up. That gets pulled forward and released, and that's it. When we pull, for every millimeter of rope we pull in, it grabs and captures it for us. So if at any given time you slip, you have to let go, pull security, this will have your load regardless of your mechanical advantage. This is another progressive capture. In this one, we're using the ARS magnet pulley. When we separate them, we get two pulleys. One has a becket, one without. Depending on the system that you want to build, choose which one you want to use as your progressive capture. On this one, it's very high efficiency pulley. As we said before, the magnets connect and we disconnect it. We're going to set this one up in a very traditional sense, utilizing a VT PRUSIK. We're going to tie that VT into a multi-wrap heating. So when we place that on, as all our videos, the right side is going to be our haul, the left side is going to be our load line. On this one, we can do a clem heist, we can do a 3-wrap. Typically, because we're using an 8mm, and in this case on an 8mm, we're going to use a multi-wrap heating or a clem heist. The multi-wrap heating seems to move very nice in there. We're going to show you two ways that you can rig this onto there. For the heating, we're going to keep a little bite up here, and then we're going to wrap this nice and tight. Going down. If at any given time this slips when you start loading it, you can either retighten this or be able to, and we'll just keep it on these wraps to see if we need to retighten it, or you can add another wrap in there. Once you load, you're going to have extra room, especially on your clem heist multi-wrap heating. Two ways to rig this, depending on the speed in which you need to act it. We can put that right on there, and as you see, this is loaded. We can pull, give it a tug. This is holding it. As we pull, it mines it. As we let go, it grabs it. A little bit cleaner rigging on that. We can come in and separate these two holes on our VT and send the back one in first. Then our pulley. And then the front. Kind of reminiscent a little bit of arborist, and as that comes in, this mines it and keeps everything from canting off to the side. All right, we're going to look at another option under our alternate on our pace. With this, we're going to use a pulley and we're going to use a rope man device. When we load this, we typically choose to do the one with the becket on here because that will be a nice smooth load for the rope man. So we place this right in. As always, the load will be on the left, the haul line will be on the right. We attach that into our anchor carabiner, and as we said, here's my load. My haul is on the right hand side. We're now going to take a look at how we're going to rig the rope man. The rope man's very efficient rope grab device that opens up. When we look at it, the cam will open up towards your pulley, towards your anchor. So when we place this on, we usually grab it here, place that in, and then when we want to place that carabiner, we just kind of pull that in and we can jam our thumb right in there, and that'll keep it open enough that we can rig our carabiner into there. The carabiner will then go into the becket. So as we're hauling, it slides through. This is going to be actually a little bit more efficient than if we had a PRUSIK because your rope isn't being pulled through a friction hitch. This has much less friction in this configuration, although it does take an extra carabiner. So whether it's efficiency of the component or efficiency of the entire system, as far as how much kit you have, keep that in mind as you're rigging. As before, we pull, it locks. We pull, it locks. All right, this one we're going to look at another contingency option. With this, we're going to use the roll clip, and we'll be using our line. When we do this, just as we said before, the load side is going to be on our left, the haul side will be on our right. We're clipping this into a carabiner. So if we had a basket hitch, let's say, of webbing, and we have a carabiner, and then we can clip that into it, not a problem, right? Because we're not hard linking. What this gives us the opportunity to is rig it really clean as far as the PRUSIK is concerned. We'll show you another technique where if you want to clip this directly in, the roll clip directly into your anchor, what you can do, although there's a couple cautionary notes that you got to look for. So when we rig this, this keeps it pretty clean. Remember, if we're rigging a SPOC or we're rigging a pulley, we're still clipping that into a carabiner, so that's not taking up any more kit than you normally would. So on this, we're going to utilize a VT PRUSIK that we're going to put into the same that we did before with the pulley, is a multi-wrap heating. So with this, we know with this 8mm PRUSIK and this 8mm rope that we'll get a grab at 3 wraps of a multi-wrap heating. Test this out on your rope. You may need to put a 4th wrap in there, which is not a problem at all, or you may need to go to a clumb heist, which is the same as a multi-wrap heating, just rigged in the other direction. So once I get that in there, I go ahead and swish it down, tighten it up, and then I will clip it right into here. How we rig this now is, the problem that we'll run into is if we're hauling or we're pulling off site, this will typically happen. You can actually pull this PRUSIK through when you're doing a haul, because this is not PRUSIK minded like most of our pulleys. So to take care of that, we're just going to take the screw link and we're going to put it right through here. We are just going to need to close this up because this won't see any weight at any time, just so our rope won't fit through it. Now, as we pull, this will mind our PRUSIK for us and keep things very clean. The other option, if we don't have the ability to use another carabiner up here, and this needs to go directly into our roll clip, what you'll notice is as this goes, it'll still work. The problem with this is when this is holding that load, it'll load this off axis, not along the spine that we need. Also, when the slack comes up, if at any given time these move up, it has the opportunity to fall out, which you need to be mindful of. So depending on how you're rolling, light and fast, if this is an option, we just need to be mindful when we do that of some of the issues that could happen. All right, we're going to take a look at another contingency option we have utilizing the totem. We're going to use this very similar to how many have used an ATC. So this would be very similar to how we do a top rope belay, bring it up so it creates a progressive capture. So when we're looking at loading this in, we'll put our totem in, we put the stitch plate towards the top. With this down, you'll see we can use this as a lever to kind of break tension in that if we need to release somebody a little bit. When we load our rope into there, the load line, as we said before, is going to be on our left. When we put the bite through, the load will be sitting on top. Our haul line will be on the bottom. We'll go right through here. When we do ATCs, we typically just put a blocking carabiner back here, which on some of your systems with this will work just fine. Right? We're hauling and then it's grabbing. When you get into thinner diameter ropes, into your 7mm, 7.5, some 7.5, some 7 mils, when the tension on here, this could have a tendency, if these two are small enough, to flip around and then you'll have no progressive capture. So when doing that, as soon as you rig this on, we'll take that bite down below, capture these two lines, just like this, whoops, and then we'll pull that nice and tight so it's sitting right here. This will keep it from rotating because it's the carabiner that also rotates. So in this system, if you're using it on a thin line that has that possibility, this is how we recommend rigging that. Now we're going to take a look into our emergency options. When we get into emergencies, a lot of times it's not that they're not going to grab as well, it's that we're losing a lot of efficiency of having a moving pulley, things like that. So when we're looking at this, we obviously do not have a moving option of a pulley on here. So when we rig this, remember as we said before, when this opens up on this rope man, that is going to be the side that opens up to our non-load side. It'll be our haul side. As we've done all of our videos, the load line will be on the left, the haul side will be on the right. So as we place this in, just like a pulley, we're going to have it just like this. As we said before, when loading it, you can hold that back into that open position, cam it with your finger to be able to get that nicely into your carabiner at your anchor. So on this, pretty simple, right? As that rolls, we let go, it grabs. What we don't have in there is something that is moving, so that is why it moves down our pace plan as far as efficiency goes. All right, looking at another emergency option when we don't have pulleys available, we don't have a SPOC available. Obviously, as we go down through our pace, we're going to gain more friction. This is going to only take 2 carabiners, stuff that people normally have. So whether we're using this progressive capture in an MA system or an ascending system, it'll work. Remember that as we gain a mechanical advantage, this becomes a little bit more efficient as we build onto that. So don't get scared with the amount of friction that's on here. So we're going to start with a munter hitch. So it's going to be a one-way munter. There's 3 ways that you can do a one-way munter. When you do that, test it with the carabiners that you're using and see how efficient that becomes. What we want to do is when we set that munter hitch up, we want to be able to pull, as we said before, we're going to have our load strain on the left, hauling on the right. We want to be able to pull on one end and see that it is moving the other line up. So for us, this is the configuration. As I pull on this haul line, my load line's coming up, right? Do you have a lot of friction? The problem with this is if we're pulling and we let go, the munter hits and our load goes cratering down to the ground. So to be able to do this, we're going to show you 3 different techniques. The first 2 are very, very similar, so we'll kind of go through those really in close up. So in this configuration, this is the way that I want to move. I'm going to take that carabiner and I'm going to go by the load line here, and I'm going to capture right through everything. So now when I haul, it grabs and won't roll. The next one looks almost identical, except I come from my haul side. So on this one, same exact configuration. I'm going to put that carabiner through my haul line and capture everything. Remember to try this out with a bunch of different carabiners and see how it works. Obviously, all 3 work with the carabiners that we have in this kit. The last one, we only look at the load line. So this is the one here. We're going to go behind there. We're going to go through that bite in between these 2 and click it just there. When you feel this, this probably feels the most efficient, but be careful of the carabiners you use. Make sure that it works and nothing's flipping over. All right, another option for our emergency PCDs, where we do not have a rope man, we do not have our pulley, we don't have anything, we have a carabiner. When we lay that rope through on our carabiner, obviously we're going to have a lot more friction when we're pulling this. You're averaging somewhere around that 45% efficiency range compared to a SPOC that's 90, so you definitely have more friction. With this, we're going to make this pulley PRUSIK mining, so we're going to do a multi-rep heating. Once again, on here, remember to test these knots out on the rope, depending on what kind of fiber, what kind of braid you're using, can differ. We know that 3 wraps on this multi-rep for us works really well. We're going to cinch that down. 2 options, just like we did before when we're doing this. The roll clip is in a hasty situation. I can put both these right into my main anchor and pull. So what the problem is going to run into with this is we could pull this right through and have it flop over to the other side. So to mine that, just like we did on the roll clip, we're just going to put our 7 or 8 mil screw link in here. Now as this comes up, it's going to mine and make our carabiner PRUSIK mining. If we wanted to, we had a little bit of time, we could maybe make this a little bit cleaner, reduce maybe a little bit of the friction on there. If we go ahead and feed one end of our VT up, be able to put our line in between the other side, kind of in that arborist configuration, and as we pull up, you'll see that that kind of splits these out a little bit, so I'm not pulling directly against those fibers, and grab.